this video, we're going to talk about rates. A rate is a ratio that compares two quantities which have different units. So it's a little different than a ratio. It gets more specific that the two quantities that are being compared have different units. So here's an example. He earned $100 in 10 hours. So if I write this as a ratio, I have $100 up here in the numerator, and I have $10 down here in the denominator. So up here in the numerator we have money or dollars, and down here in the denominator we have hours. So even though yes, this is a ratio, it's a more specific type of ratio known as a rate because we are comparing two different units, dollars to hours. When we talk about unit rates, we can find a special kind of rate which is known as a unit rate. And a unit rate is a simplified rate where the denominator is 1 unit. So for example, we can talk about the car traveled at 55 miles per hour. If we write this as a ratio, it's 55 miles to 1 hour. This is known as a rate because we have miles here in the numerator compared to hours down here in the denominator. But it's also known as a unit rate because if we look at our denominator, it's 1 hour. So it's 1 hour, only one here, compared to our previous example up here where we had 10 hours. So this isn't a unit rate because we don't know how much it is for just 1 hour. Whereas down here in this example, this is known as a unit rate because we have 1 hour. So that means in 1 hour, you're going to go 55 miles. So let's go about trying to figure out some unit rates. Here's our first example. Henry earned $280 in 40 hours. What is his hourly rate or his unit rate? This is one of the more common types of unit rate problems that you have. We need to figure out how much does Henry earn per hour. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to write the information that we have as a rate, or as a ratio. So we have $280 over 40 hours. And our goal is to get it so we have a unit rate. So that means that our denominator is going to be 1. So I'm going to put 1 hour down here. So our question is, what do we have to do to go from 40 to 1? What do we have to do mathematically? In order to go from 40 to 1, you need to divide by 40. So 40 divided by 40 is 1. So if I divide 40 by 1, if I divide 40 by 40, that means I also have to do the same thing in the numerator. I have to take 280 and divide it by 40. So if I get out my calculator, I'll have 280 divided by 40. And that's equal to 7. So that means back here, I can write 7. And our unit is dollars. So that means that Henry makes $7 per 1 hour. That's his unit rate. So every hour that he works, he's going to earn $7. And here's our unit rate. And we did that by figuring out what do we have to divide 40 by to get to 1? 40. So whatever we do to the denominator, we're also going to do to the numerator. Here's the last example we're going to do today. Here's another common place where we see unit rates. If 8 juice boxes cost $2, what is the unit rate? So here we have 8 juice boxes and $2. What we're trying to do is figure out what is the unit price, or what does it cost per 1 juice box. So if that's what I want to figure out, I want to know what it costs per 1 juice box. That means over here, I'm going to put the 8 juice boxes. And that means we have juice boxes down here in the denominator. So that means we need to have the cost of the 8 juice boxes in the numerator. So that's $2. And remember, we have to figure out what do we mathematically have to do in order to go from 8 to 1. We divide. 8 divided by 8 is 1. So if I divide 8 by 1, that means I also have to take the 2 and divide it by 8. So I go back to my calculator. So I'm going to go 2 divided by 8 equals 0.25. So that means that these juice boxes are costing $0.25 or 25 cents per juice box. So if you want to figure out unit price, it's usually how much does it cost per one item. So that item is going to go in the denominator. And that's everything you need to know about rates. Remember, they're comparing two quantities with different units, and a unit rate is when we figure out what it is for one of those units. So in this example, per 1 hour.